YAGALOO, das Musikmagazin, heute mal mit ganz viel Gold im Hintergrund, zu Gast im Jive-Büro, und bei mir ist Ollie Gabriel aus Louisiana. Kennt er wahrscheinlich noch nicht, aber ihr werdet ihn jetzt nämlich kennenlernen. Ollie, I just told my audience that they probably don't know you yet.
Okay.
But what do you think, how easy is it to get to know you?
It's very easy to get to know me. Ask and I shall tell.
Is it your first time here in Germany?
It's my second time here in Germany. I was here in November, but briefly. But this is my first promo tour, so I'm really excited about it.
Yeah. Promo tour because of Running Man, your debut EP.
Yes.
That has already been released at the end of February. We talk about that later.
Okay.
Because I want to introduce you to my audience, of course. So you are from Louisiana. Yeah. So what was it like growing up in Louisiana?
I'm from Louisiana. Growing up in Louisiana was very fun. I grew up like a country boy, so like a cowboy. I rode horses, and there was chickens and stuff like that. So I had a very humble beginnings, and got to play outside a lot. And when I was older, I moved to LA, which is completely different. It's the big city, so I've kind of got a balanced best of both worlds thing going,
Was it easy for you to move to LA?
It was, because I've always wanted to be there. So growing up in Louisiana, there's not a lot to do. At least when I was younger, I didn't appreciate it as much, because it was like, oh, there's nothing here except fields and cows and horses, right? But I always dreamed of the big cities, and I always dreamed of big lights and all those things. So going to LA was a natural transition for me, because it's like a dream come true. Like, I always wanted to be there, and I just worked hard to be there. But now when I go back home to Louisiana, I really appreciate it, because I like, oh yes, the silence, the peacefulness of it all. And I was just there last week, and I was riding horses and hanging with the family. And I have a much greater appreciation for it now.
Your mom cooked some special dish for you?
She did. Gumbo. I don't know, have you heard of gumbo?
I saw it on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. So my auntie made a great gumbo for me, and it's like a very popular dish in Louisiana, and it's so good. So I'm still full.
At what point was it clear that you want to go into the music industry, the shark business?
For me, I've always been performing since I was, 6, 7 years old. I started out playing in church, and so I've always known that this is what I was going to do. I can honestly say that there's really nothing else that I wanted to do with my life.
Farmer?
Yeah.
No farmer?
No farmer. No. Later in life, though, the older I get, I feel that maybe when I'm like 70 years old, I'll end up, on my own ranch or something, and I'll have a simple life, But no, I've always wanted to make records and move people with music.
Yeah. So then you moved to LA. You already said this. How easy was it to get in track there? I mean, find a flat, find business partners, and doing stuff. Did you send out like files all over again to record labels, or how did it work?
So when I first moved to LA, it was tough. It was difficult because it's such a huge city, and it's like, where do you start, But I've always been good at just networking with people and just meeting people, friendly, and just over the years, I just, you meet this person, and this person meets that person, and this, and I say, oh, I know someone who's a really great producer and a really great songwriter, and just over the years, I kind of just, moved up the ladder, so to speak, in terms of my relationships and those things.
Running Man, as I said, is your first EP. How long did you work on the 4 songs? Well, it's 5 songs, but it's a radio edit of the single Running Man. So how long did you work on it, and where did you put most effort in?
Running Man has been, this EP has been, I would say, probably about 2 years in the works. The song Running Man was created in about 2 years ago, actually. And the other songs came last year. And I put a lot of work into it. I have a partner there who I have a studio with, and we worked every day. And at the time when we were working, I wasn't trying to put together an album. I was really just getting in and making great songs, and really kind of focused more on just the great songs. And I was kind of like, well, if someone else takes them, I'm okay with it. So I wasn't really going about it saying like, oh, I'm going to make an album. But it just turned out to, to end up that way.
So the piano hook of Running Man is incredible. So are you playing any instruments like piano, guitar, something more?
Yeah, absolutely. My first instrument was actually trombone. So I started out playing brass instruments when I was a kid, and I play piano. I've been playing piano since I was 8, 9 years old. I can songwrite on guitar. I'm a pretty decent drummer, and I'm kind of one of those guys that I understand all instruments because I grew up in marching band and jazz band and all those different bands. So I can get around on most instruments, except probably woodwinds. I'm not a great sax player, but I can play like a few scales and things like that.
Sounds pretty incredible. Was it all learning by doing, or did you take some lessons at some point?
Well, I've never had formal lessons, but I had lessons in school, I guess you can say, because I started in the band formally when I was in the 4th grade. So from 4th grade all through high school to 12th grade, I studied, music in school. I was in a lot of honor bands, state band, and jazz band, concert band. So I got a wide variety of influences from music, not just pop music, but classical and jazz and marching band. So and then also in church as well, which is gospel music. So all those influences kind of made like a musical gumbo, so to speak, for me,
So you believe in God, I heard.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But you are not like a supporter of this blondish guy over there who is running for president?
No, I'm not. Are you referring to that one guy?
Yeah, there is this nice website where you can blow his hair up and around. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen it, but that sounds pretty funny. I would like to see it.
It is definitely funny.
Yeah.
But we are not talking about politics. Was it a huge step for you to go to the National Academy of Recording Artists and meet Johnny Wright? I mean, Johnny Wright was producer, or was it the...
So Johnny Wright is part of my management. He's my manager there in the States, and he's one of probably the most famous, legendary managers in the U.S. or really kind of in the world, because he founded, the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and he was in Britney Spears, and now he still manages Justin Timberlake, and he's managed everybody, Akon, Janet Jackson, so very, very great guy. I'm really thankful to, have him on my team as well, and we talk a lot. And I met him from, at the time I was looking for a manager. And I knew with this type of music that I do, I needed a manager, a certain type of manager. And so I literally sent out just, blind emails to their info box. And the same day that I sent out an email to their info, I attached 4 songs to it. Running Man was one of those songs. And then there were 3 other songs that are not on this EP. And within probably about 2 hours of sending that email, I was on the phone with Johnny Wright. And he said that that's never happened because they get thousands of emails a week. But the person who got the email, they always listen to everything, I guess. So they listened, and then they passed it up to their boss, and then they passed it up to their boss, and then they gave it to Johnny. And then he listened. He's like, oh, get him on the phone. And I met him that same week when I sent the email. And then from there, it's kind of been a step-by-step process. And, here we are. This is about a year later,
Sounds good to me, but isn't it a little pressure on your shoulders, knowing that your manager had all the huge stars in the background?
I guess for me, I look at it kind of the opposite way. I kind of look at it as more of a validation that, I'm doing the right thing, I'm in the right direction, because, the fact that he still manages, one of the biggest stars in the world, Justin Timberlake, it's great that he sees something in me that brings me there. And he is one of those kind of managers, we've talked about this, where he's very excited about starting with acts from the beginning. The same thing he did with the Jonas Brothers, he did with NSYNC. So he likes the whole process of building, So I feel excited that I got a great team along with Konrad, who's here as well.
So Running Man is can I say, a kind of story that if you fell down, you have to go up again and run further and further?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that Running Man is definitely a story of perseverance and determination. And, it's a story about, moving, not literally, but it can be, if you want to jog and listen to it, that's a good motivator. But, definitely it has a, underlying theme of not giving up and, following your dreams.
At what point did you write the song? Was it a kind of struggle moment, or was it, the next step came by and, it works out so well?
Yeah, when I wrote Running Man, I remember vividly, I was in the studio and I didn't have a manager, I didn't have a label. And, it was kind of, for me, it was my own affirmation and my own confirmation that, even though I don't have those things now, I know they're coming. So just like keep going. So it was at a moment when I had been doing the same thing, for years with music. I was like, go to the studio, spend all my time there. And, a lot of times I had to work on the side to keep the lights on and pay the bills while I'm still investing in my career. So it was just kind of a moment where, I came up with the chord structure for the songs, and I was like, oh, this feels really good. And the lyrics just kind of flew out me, See, I was born without no shoes. And I just had this feeling of like, I'm gonna keep going. So even though I don't have a record deal right now, I'm not making money with music, I just felt that I was doing the right thing because the music still made me feel a certain way,
Who was the first person you played the song to?
The first person that I played this song to, I remember, so my engineer, my friend back home, he, who also co-produces a lot with me on this EP, I remember the next day he called me up and he was like, because we stayed in the studio that night probably till 2 or 3 in the morning, and just like we always did, and he called me the next day and he was like, man, like I listened to it with fresh ears, and he was like, bro, he's like, this is powerful. He was like, this is powerful. And I was like, because sometimes it just comes out so fast. And, with me, most of the songs I record, I usually record, like, the vocals you hear on Running Man are the vocals from that night. So I don't go back and like redo stuff. It's usually in that moment. It's like get in the booth. And my take at that time is usually the one that we keep. Very rarely will I go back and try to, because I feel like you have to capture a certain moment, And so he was the first person. He called me back and he's like, man, I think we got something.
And for the music video, which shows you dancing and performing, and also the Paralympics athlete Leeper, how did you get in contact with him?
So for the music video, I knew that I wanted something that paralleled the story of Running Man. I knew that I wanted to show visually that story of determination, but I didn't want it to be, all about me. Because I felt that, everyone's going to relate to this. So I wanted to kind of show determination almost in the most extreme way possible. And I said, it'd be great if, I had someone who's, faced physical challenges. And I did some research and I found Leeper first on the internet. And actually, when I wrote the song, I had already said that I want Leeper in the video, but it wasn't until like last year, that I actually got in contact with him. And it worked out. I called a friend of mine who's a radio promoter back home, and he said, oh, I met his manager like a few months ago. I was like, what are the odds? And he was like, let me call him, I'll call you back. And he called Blake's manager or agent, and he called me back and he was like, I got him on three-way. and then it worked out, and they talked, and just so happened that he was going to be in LA the next week. So we met. I put together like a little pitch video of videos that he had online, and I put the song behind it, and then I showed them that, and they were like, what do you need? Like, we want to do it, you know, because it felt, they saw it and I saw it and it just worked out great and we made it happen.
And I liked your performing in the video. Absolutely, it's like so energetic, and you're a dancer. And how often have you already performed on stage? What was your biggest show so far?
Well, I've been performing for a long time on stage. My biggest show so far was actually a show that I did when I was 16 years old in front of 25,000 people in Louisiana. And it's so funny because I was looking at pictures of that when I was back home in Louisiana. So that was the most people so far, but I mean, I've never been stage shy. I used to perform in front of my school, my college, you know, all the time for every assembly or things like that. I'd sing, you know, the national anthem, or I'd sing, you know, the popular song at that time. So performing is something that's, for me, I enjoy that even more than recording. I love recording, but I love getting on stage and transferring energy, you know.
Has The Voice never been a thought worth in your head? The Voice of America?
Oh, the TV show. I've been offered to go on The Voice and also American Idol, but for me, I didn't feel it was the best business decision because of, you know, it's great, but the background workings of the deals that you have to enter into, and if I was just a singer, then that would probably be a good thing for me. But because I write and I produce my own music, and, you know, I'm very self-contained, so it wasn't the best business decision for me to enter in that type of deal.
Cool, let's talk about some other songs on the EP. Coldblooded. Oh, it is my fresh, powerful, majestic track, very groovy. Is about a woman who is cold-blooded but so damned hot. And at some parts you're even screaming. For example, you like the abuse. Sounds like really energetic emotions. So, I mean, if you listen to the lyrics and if you listen or read it in between, do the people get to know you somehow, or is it just a story about some hot woman?
Well, I think for that particular song, it's more of a fun story. I mean, I've been in relationships, you know, like that, where, you know, I think maybe everyone has, where, you know, someone you like someone, but they're kind of, you know, they're a bit more mean to you. It's kind of like that playground thing, you know, where, you know, it's the little boy likes the girl, but she's like always, you know, taking his lunch money and mean to him or whatever. But he likes it because as long as he's getting some attention from it, he's okay. And I think everyone's, you know, had that, you know, I have, where, you know, you've been attracted to a woman or something, and maybe she doesn't treat you the way that, you know, like she likes you, but she does, you know what I mean? So I wanted to do something like that, you know.
So women are a main topic in your songs. I mean, like 10 feet also, or safe. Well, 10 feet is the lady makes you bigger, like 3 Meter hoch. What, 10 feet is 3 meters and something. And safe, it's more or less the opposite way, that you make the woman feel safe.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of themes of with the other songs outside of Running Man, of love and that on the EP. And you know, for Coldblooded, it's more like fun, and you know, 10 Feet is more of a song that it's not necessarily for a woman in a relationship. You know, if you well, I guess it can be looked at in a few different ways, but I kind of wanted to bring some emotion and, you know, for people that are happy in relationships, or that feeling of being around someone that, you know, makes you feel like you can do anything, supports you and pushes you.
When was the last time that you were pretty emotional? Do you cry in the movie theater, for example?
Well, I mean, it depends what we're watching here.
E.T. Calling Home.
No, I didn't cry on E.T., but, you know.
You did as a kid, I bet.
Well, maybe as a kid. No, I'm not afraid to be. I feel like emotions are good. I'm not one of those kind of people that pretend like, oh, I'm so tough or hard or whatever. I think that, especially as an artist, I try to tap into those emotions. I think those are what makes us human. So there's things that I've seen. In the news and things like that will touch me emotionally, and I'll write a song about it. But I feel I never want to lose that ability to feel deeply.
That's important. Safe is for me like a Motown classic with a choir singing, and it reminds me somehow of Aretha Franklin's "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman." I don't know. It's somehow. Could you live with that?
I could live with that. I mean, any comparison to Aretha Franklin, regardless of the songs, it's not bad. I'll take it. It definitely has a lot of emotion, and I can see why you would say like Motown classic, which again is a great compliment. Thank you. For that, I really wanted to do something vintage. And, again, like when I make songs, like I didn't set out and say, I'm going to make something like Motown. It's really, for me, it all starts, I go with the vibe of the music. So it's like when I hear the music, it's like I just kind of just go into it, and it turns out to be, what it ends up being. But there wasn't any kind of like, master plan, like let's make something, like this or whatever. For me, I never really kind of know what I'm going to get in the studio. I just kind of go in and I try to create musically a vibe, and then, I put lyrics and melody over it.
It comes from the inside.
Yeah, I want it to come from the inside. I try not to, if I have to think about it too much, then I back away, because I don't want it to feel forced or fabricated,
Do you work still with pen and paper, or do you have your iPad aside? And
it's funny. I've started going back to pen and paper because lately I have been using just like my iPhone, but I've started the last couple songs that I've been writing. I've been going back to pen and paper, and I'm really enjoying it, because I realized that I don't write anymore. And the other day I was writing and I was like, how do you make an S again? Like I had to think. I was like, it's like it's like you forget how to write. And I was like, that's bad. Like I need to start writing. So I actually went to the bookstore, Barnes and Nobles, and I bought a notepad, and it says "write" on the front of it. And I bought a $17 pen. I was like, okay, if I buy an expensive pen, then I'm gonna write with it. I have to use it. So now I have this pad with me everywhere that I go, and I try to write. I even started keeping like a diary, because I don't want to forget how to write. It's so important.
When can the people expect you being live on stage here in Germany?
Pretty soon. I think so far we have a few dates coming in the summer. So as of now, I know that in August, I'm doing a festival, off-radio festival here in Germany, as well as
Energy in the Park, maybe?
I think something with Energy. So that may be it. I'm not familiar with all the festivals.
It's a cool venue, because it's the stage is in the Wannsee, in the sea, so at the beach.
Oh, perfect. I love the beach. I'll bring my beach volleyball and
and prepare, because later at night all the mosquitoes are coming out.
You have mosquitoes here?
They are is it mosquitoes or the little flies or something? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I grew up with mosquitoes in Louisiana, so I'll bring bug spray.
Cool. So we're looking forward for the live show, and I heard Down and My Radar on YouTube.
Okay.
So you're even a rapper. You're even a rapper.
Yeah, I was actually rapping before I was singing. So when I was growing up, I've always been into music, and I always could do both. But at first, when I was younger, I thought I would be a rapper. So, the way I made my living a lot in LA is I did a lot of stuff for licensing and TV. So I built a lot of relationships with music supervisors. So they'll call me and say, oh, we need a song like this. And a lot of times they'd be rap songs. that they want to replace in a TV show or something. So, I was like, what the hell? So that's how you'll see on YouTube a lot of these rap songs. I didn't intend for them to be like my project, but they ended up in TV shows. People heard them, loved them, and made all these videos and things like that on YouTube. I didn't put any of those videos there. These are all people who heard it and made a little fan video, I guess. So yeah, I have a rap album that out there as well.
Diversity. Wonderful. So, thanks so far.
Thank you.
Und ich würde sagen, ihr checkt es natürlich aus. Running Man, die EP von Ollie. Thanks.
Thank you.